you call me your baby when you're holding my hand.
Morning, guys. Got up this morning and what's up with the hat? And decided to watch the first episode, the pilot episode of the Netflix Daredevil television show. And figured, hey, let's do a little review. Now, I really avoided anything about the Daredevil television show when it came to news and rumors and things like that. The only thing I did was pay attention to who was being cast as what, and then I would stay away from it because I wanted to go into the episode and to the series and have it be what it is, no expectations and everything. So right off the bat, I'll kind of start with my summary. I thought it was a weak episode, but weak does not equal bad. I feel like it's the kind of show where it is a pilot. Purpose of a pilot is to be a lot of exposition, show us who Daredevil is, show us who the characters are, who's the supporting cast, where's this taking place, what's going to be the hook of the show, where's here's kind of here's the tone and where it's going to go and everything like that. And I felt like it was the kind of show that as a pilot it worked. It did just enough to where I want to keep watching it. Number one, it's Daredevil, so the character itself from the comic books is intriguing. So that keeps it going. And that's also like a weakness of the show, where it is just about Daredevil / Matt Murdock. I'll get into that in a minute. And the other thing is, I kind of felt like that this is, as a pilot, there's always room for improvement, But I felt like you could watch this show, and if you were working on it, you could just sit back and be like, okay, this didn't work, this worked, we need more of this, let's not do that anymore. And that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like it was the let's throw something against the wall and see what we get, So a lot of achievements and a lot of things that were weak. I can honestly say there was nothing in the pilot for Daredevil that made me go, well, that was stupid or that was done. There's nothing there that did that for me, okay? So getting into that, let's get into the pilot. The first thing that I want to say that I found that was uneven about it is the first superhero battle there, if you will, of we see Daredevil in action. The first time we see him action, bunch of women are obviously being sold, human trafficking there, and there's a couple guys, henchmen there, some bad guys that are, holding them at gunpoint and, being very, very bad villains. And Daredevil shows up, and I don't remember the count off the top of my head, but he took out like 4 guys, and they had guns. He had the Billy Club. They're really pulling from The Man Without Fear by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. with the black mask. He's not Daredevil yet. He doesn't have the costume. So we get in there, and he takes them out, man. And it was spectacular. It was well choreographed, well filmed. For what it was, what it was supposed to be, our introduction to here's what Daredevil can do. Now, skip to towards the end of the 50-minute episode, and all of a sudden he's in an apartment building taking on one guy, a very well trained guy, mind you. Don't get me wrong, he's not quite a henchman, man. He's up, in the upper echelon of hitmen or something. But all of a sudden Daredevil is sitting there fighting him in close quarters in an apartment, and the guy has a knife. Daredevil's not using any billy clubs or anything like that, and they just happen to fall out of a window, Daredevil gets stabbed and everything like that. So very uneven right there. We've already seen that we've already seen him take out a couple guys with guns, and he knows what he's doing, and then all of a sudden he just sort of kind of has less ability fighting there towards the end against one guy with a knife. Okay, just an opinion there. Okay, character-wise, the most of the scenes and a lot of the other characters besides Matt Murdock, it's very thin. And of course, the show is called Daredevil Matt Murdock, so we're going to center on him. But when Karen Page came out, didn't feel for her. Foggy Nelson, second strongest character in there, but I'll get into him in a minute. It's just very thin, man. We're very, very focused on Matt Murdock. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It really kind of turned me off because we're supposed to be, from what I understand, in the Marvel universe, and a lot of these supporting characters have always been as much of the story as Matt Murdock, Daredevil, later on. So room for improvement there is what I'm saying, okay? Um, the scenery and the way this thing is shot and the pacing, it kind of suffers from what I call The Killing. Okay, that was a television show. And The Killing, I'm not comparing Daredevil to The Killing. I'm talking about the techniques and the execution of some of the scenes that they did in Daredevil. The Killing had a hook, okay? Who killed her? It's like it's a big mystery. Who killed who killed that little girl? And just like Twin Peaks and stuff. Who killed Laura Palmer and stuff, right? Well, Daredevil doesn't really have that. So I think what kind of turned me off there is that The Killing was a very slow-paced snooze fest of a few episodes, right? I don't like that pacing where it's just very slow and you're not really sure if anything they're talking about has anything to do with anything. It's supposed to be like a slice of life. And Daredevil had quite a few slow moments of that. There's a scene where Matt Murdock takes Karen Page home to help, protect her. And they're talking and it's raining outside and I got nothing out of that. And I paid attention, I was just sort of like, what's the purpose of this? Oh, you're blind. And I didn't feel any chemistry. I didn't feel any tension, sexual or otherwise, or anything like that. So, room for improvement there. I really hope that they don't go that way with a lot of the scenes, where it's very slow paced and we're like right there with them. It's almost a minimalistic approach to it. They were trying to. It felt like they tried too hard to set a mood, and we were supposed to see some kind of art there. I don't know. But the problem with shows like that is once that the big reveal is given to us, those shows freaking drop and they're forgotten about. Okay, so I don't think that's the way to go, man. Don't take 50 minutes and just write some crap out there to fill that 50 minutes, because you want to save the good stuff as big reveals. It's very uneven and it doesn't flow for me. Okay, so that's Karen Page, that's Matt Murdock, and then we get to Foggy. Now, I did not like the character of Foggy. That's not a bad thing. Okay, Foggy seems to be that point in the show where he's not quite comedy relief, but he definitely lightens the show. And he's very the opposite of Matt as being a little bit more bouncy, a bigger personality. So that's actually a good thing. So that's about the only other character in there they made kind of pop. Now, going back to the big reveal and things like that, we're wondering who this. There's a plot going on with the gangs and stuff. Who we're wondering who's the big mover and shaker there when it comes to the crime lords and stuff and the gangs that they're showing or whatever you want to call them. I feel like it's different factions. They have Japanese. I think they had Russian. Don't take my word on it. I'm going by memory here. I mean, I just watched it. I'm still drinking my coffee. So what I'm saying is I think I suffer from knowing the story from reading the comics and stuff. So so that kind of kills my, that may have taken something away from the show. Okay, I know who the villain is. Even if I hadn't seen anything about cast, who's going to be cast as what characters, I know who the villain is. Also, they didn't go into Daredevil's powers. He's a blind man. How's he doing all this stuff? They kind of give you an idea of that he can hear heartbeats and stuff and super sensitive. So as a brand new viewer, which I am to the show, I'm not a brand new viewer to the character in the story. So I have no idea that if I watch this completely fresh without knowing anything about Daredevil, is that enough to hook me? Who's this new bad guy? How is Matt Murdock doing this stuff? I don't know. I don't know if that's enough to hook anybody. And that goes back to what I was saying about like shows like The Killing and stuff. Once they do the big reveals, that going to make people drop and stuff. I don't know. I do suffer from knowing the characters and the story that they're pulling from. So overall, uneven show, too many quiet moments. Too much of a minimalistic approach when it comes to like scenery and sets. It's too, some of the stuff is too clean for what to be in Hell's Kitchen, and for the darkness and the grittiness and the edginess they're trying to put into the show. Everything's just too clean. You know, a lot of it felt empty to me, but it was enough to make me want to come back. And I feel like I hope that they're going to look at this and be like, what I said, this works, that didn't work, let's do more of this, let's take that out. And I think that's what they're going to go with it. Okay, so as a pilot, you know, it's mediocre. It's all right. It's uneven. Is there room for improvement? I hope so, because I think there's going to be like 15 episodes, so there's 14 more to go for me to watch, and I'll probably do reviews of the rest of them. All right, so you know, basically that's my review. You know, I think it's worth checking out. And I actually think the less you know about Daredevil, the better, is what I think. And I think that as a comic book fan, I hope that people don't get all, oh wow, you know, we have a Marvel TV show on Netflix about Daredevil, because that's going to kind of put your blinders on. You can love the character, but you can still be kind of critical, you know, because if they do this really sloppy or they kind of blow it, you know, we're not going to have more in the future. They've already set up, you know, Daredevil, alias, or Jessica, aka Jessica Jones, or whatever they're calling her, and a few other shows. So those are in the bag. If we want more in the future, they really need to hit these out of the ballpark, is what I think. I like to see a little quality out there too. So that's about it. So check it out. Okay. Thanks for listening.